Chapter 3. Hindu Dharm. Silent adorations to the Lord, the embodiment of Dharm, the controller and protector of Dharm, and the fountain-head of Dharm. What is Dharm? Dharm is so called because it holds, Dharm alone holds the people, etc. The word Dharm is derived from the root dra to hold, and its etymological meaning is that which holds this world, or the people of the world, or the whole creation from the microcosm to the macrocosm. It is the eternal divine law of the Lord. The entire creation is held together and sustained by the all-powerful law of God. Practice of Dharm, therefore, means recognition of this law and abidance by it. That which brings well-being to man is Dharm. Dharm supports this world. The people are upheld by Dharm. That which secures preservation of beings is Dharm. Dharm leads to eternal happiness and immortality. That which is Dharm is verily the truth. Therefore, whosoever speaks the truth is said to speak Dharm, and whosoever speaks Dharm is said to speak the truth. One and the same thing becomes both. Dharm includes all external deeds, as well as thoughts and other mental practices which tend to elevate the character of man. Dharm comes from the divine, and leads you to the divine. Definition of Dharm. No language is perfect. There is no proper equivalent word in English for the Sanskrit term Dharm. It is very difficult to define Dharm. Dharm is generally defined as righteousness or duty. Dharm is the principle of righteousness. It is the principle of holiness. It is also the principle of unity. Bhishma says in his instructions to Yudhishthir that whatever creates conflict is at harm, and whatever puts an end to conflict and brings about unity and harmony is Dharm. Anything that helps to unite all and develop pure divine love and universal brotherhood is Dharm. Anything that creates discord, split and disharmony and foments hatred is at harm. Dharm is the cementer and sustainer of social life. The rules of Dharm have been laid down for regulating the worldly affairs of men. Dharm brings as its consequence happiness, both in this world and in the next. Dharm is the means of preserving one's self. If you transgress it, it will kill you. If you protect it, it will protect you. It is your sole companion after death. It is the sole refuge of humanity. That which elevates one is Dharm. This is another definition. Dharm is that which leads you to the path of perfection and glory. Dharm is that which helps you to have direct communion with the Lord. Dharm is that which makes you divine. Dharm is the ascending stairway unto God. Self-realization is the highest Dharm. Dharm is the heart of Hindu ethics. God is the center of Dharm. Dharm means achar, or the regulation of daily life. Achar is the supreme Dharm. It is the basis of tapas, or austerity. It leads to wealth, beauty, longevity, and continuity of lineage. Evil conduct and immorality will lead to ill fame, sorrow, disease, and premature death. Dharm has its root in morality, and the controller of Dharm is God himself. Maharshi Jaimini defines Dharm as that which is enjoined by the Vedas, and is not ultimately productive of suffering. Rishi Kunad, founder of the Vaiseshika system of philosophy, has given the best definition of Dharm in his Vaiseshika Sutras, Yadobhyodayanisriyasasiddha se Dharm. That which leads to the attainment of abhyuday, prosperity in this world, and nisriyas, total cessation of pain and attainment of eternal bliss hereafter, is Dharm. The sole authority of the Vedas. The four Vedas, the Smriti texts, the behavior of those who have entered into their spirit and act according to their injunctions, the conduct of holy men and satisfaction of one's own self, these are the bases of Dharm, according to Manu. In the matter of Dharm, the Vedas are the ultimate authority. You cannot know the truth about Dharm through any source of knowledge other than the Vedas. Reason cannot be the authority in the matter of Dharm. Among the scriptures of the world, the Vedas are the oldest. This is supported by all leading scholars and antiquarians of the entire civilized world. They all declare with one voice that of all books so far written in any human language, the Rig Ved Samhita is undoubtedly the oldest. No antiquarian has been able to fix the date when the Rig Ved Samhita was composed or came to light. The changing Dharm. Just as a doctor prescribes different medicines for different people according to their constitution and the nature of their disease, so also Hinduism prescribes different duties for different people. Rules for women are different from the rules for men. The rules for different varnas and ashrams vary. But non-violence, truth, non-stealing, cleanliness and control of the senses are the duties common to all men. Dharm depends upon time, circumstances, age, degree of evolution, and the community to which one belongs. The Dharm of this century is different from that of the 10th century. There are conditions under which Dharm may change its usual course. Apadharm is such a deviation from the usual practice. This is allowed only in times of extreme distress or calamity. What is Dharm in one set of circumstances becomes adharm in another set of circumstances. That is the reason why it is said that the secret of Dharm is extremely profound and subtle. Lord Krishna says in the Gita, "Let the scriptures be the authority in determining what ought to be done and what ought not to be done." Chapter 16 verse 24. The truth of Dharm lies hidden. Shrutis and smritis are many. The way of Dharm open to all is that which a great realized soul has traversed. Dharm in other religions. All other religions also lay stress on Dharm. Buddhism, Jainism, Christianity, Sikhism, Zoroastrianism, Islam are all remarkably alive to its value. Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, Kant, Swedenborg and Spinoza are all striking examples in the interesting history of Western philosophy for the high pedestal on which they have placed morality, duty and righteousness, and adored them all as the only means to the attainment of the goal of life. Each religion lays greater stress on certain aspects of Dharm. Benefits of the practice of Dharm. Of the four grand objects of human aspiration Purusharths viz., Dharm, Arth, Kalm and Moksha, Dharm is given the foremost rank in the scriptures. Dharm alone is the gateway to Moksha too. Immortality, infinite bliss, supreme peace and highest knowledge. Dharm alone is the primary Purusharth. Dharm is the first and foremost Purusharth. Through the practice of Dharm alone can you ever hope to achieve the crowning glory of all human endeavors, viz., Moksha, which is the best and the highest of all desirable things. Practice of Dharm leads to the perfect realization of essential unity, or the final end, the highest good, namely Moksha. The practitioner experiences peace, joy, strength and tranquility within himself. His life becomes thoroughly disciplined. His powers and capacities are exceedingly intensified. He realizes that there is one underlying homogeneous essence, a living truth, behind these names and forms. He is transmuted into divinity. His whole nature gets transformed. He becomes one with the eternal. He beholds Brahman above, Brahman below, Brahman to the right, Brahman to the left, Brahman in front, Brahman at the back, Brahman within, Brahman without, and Brahman pervading the whole world. Kinds of Dharm. Dharm can be classified under two heads: 1. Samanya, or the general, universal Dharm, and 2. Visesh, or the specific, personal Dharm. Contentment, forgiveness, self-restraint, non-stealing, purity, control of senses, discrimination between right and wrong, between the real and the unreal, spiritual knowledge, truthfulness, and absence of anger come under the general or universal Dharm. The rules of the castes and orders of life are specific Dharms. These are the tenfold characteristics of Dharm according to Manu. Dharm assumes various kinds: Sanatan Dharm, eternal law; Samanya Dharm, general duty; Visesh Dharm, special duty; Varnashram Dharm, duties of caste and order; Svadharm, one's own duty; Yug Dharm, duty of the age; Kul Dharm, duty of family; Manav Dharm, duty of man; Purish Dharm, duty of male; Stri Dharm, duty of female; Raj Dharm, duty of king; Praja Dharm, duty of subjects; Pravritti Dharm, duty in worldly life; and Nivritti Dharm, duty in spiritual life. Sanatan Dharm. Sanatan Dharm means the eternal religion, the ancient law. This is based on the Vedas. This is the oldest of living religions. Hinduism is known by the name Sanatan Dharm. What the Vedas alone declare to be the means of attaining the summum bonum, or the final emancipation, is the Sanatan Dharm or Hindu Dharm. The foundation of Sanatan Dharm is Sruti. Smritis are the walls, the Itihasas and Purans are the buttresses or supports. In ancient times, the Shrutis were learnt by heart. The teacher sang them to his pupils, and the pupils sang them after him. They were not written in book form. All the sects, all the philosophical systems, appeal to the Shruti as the final authority. The Smriti stands next in authority to the Shruti. Hinduism stands unrivaled in the depth and grandeur of its philosophy. Its ethical teachings are lofty, unique and sublime. It is highly flexible and adapted to every human need. It is a perfect religion by itself. It is not in need of anything from any other religion. No other religion has produced so many great saints, great patriots, great warriors, and great pativrats. The more you know of it, the more you will honor and love it. The more you study it, the more it will enlighten you and satisfy your heart. India, the home of religions. The religious history of the world tells us that from time immemorial, India has been the home of great sages, seers and rishis. All the grand religious ideals that have molded the character of men, the loftiest of ethics and morality that have raised human beings to magnanimous heights of divine splendor, and all the sublime truths of spirituality that have made men divine, and have molded the spiritual ideals of nations and saviors of mankind, first arose in India. The spiritual horizon of India has always been illumined with the glory of the self-effulgent sun of wisdom of the Upanishads. Whenever there was any upheaval in any part of the world, the origin of this could be traced to the wave of spirituality caused by the birth of a great soul, a special manifestation of divinity in some part of India. Hindus have had a culture, civilization and religion millennia older than those of any other country or people. God did speak to the world through India's rishis, yogins, mahatmas, alvars, prophets, acharyas, sannyasins and saints. Their teachings and Purans are really inspired. God is the one light and truth from whom emanate the teachings of all faiths. India is the home and abode of religions. It occupies the proud first place in religious devotion and godliness. It is famous for its yogins and saints. The goal of India is self-realization or attainment of God consciousness through enunciation. The history of India is a history of religion. Its social code and regulations are founded upon religion. Minus its yoga, religion and its regulations, India will not be what it has been for millennia. Some Hindus are still not aware of the distinguishing features of Sanatana Dharma. If every Hindu knew and understood what Hinduism is, the Hindus of today would all be gods on this earth. May you all be endowed with the knowledge of Sanatana Dharma. May you all endeavor to protect the eternal Dharma. May the secrets of Sanatana Dharma be revealed unto you all, like a fruit in the palm of your hand, through the grace of the Lord. May the blessings of rishis be upon you all. Glory to the Vedas and Sanatana Dharma. Glory to Brahman, the source for all Vedas and Sanatana Dharma. Samanya Dharma. Every religion has a generic form or Samanyarup and a specific form or Viseshrup. The general form remains eternally the same. It is never changed by any circumstance whatsoever. It is not affected at all by changes of time, place, surroundings, and individual differences. This aspect of religion is called Sanatan or eternal. That which changes according to the change of time, place and surrounding circumstances is the external aspect or ritual of Dharma. Samanya Dharma is the general Dharma or law for all men. Varnashram dharmas are special dharmas which are to be practiced by particular castes, and by men in particular stages of life. The Samanya dharmas must be practiced by all, irrespective of distinctions of varna and ashram, creed or color. Goodness is not the property of any one class, creed, sect or community. Every man should possess this virtue. Fundamentals of Dharma. The Vishnu Samhita enumerates forgiveness, truthfulness, control of the mind, purity, practice of charity, control of the senses, non-violence, service of the Guru, visiting places of pilgrimage, compassion, simplicity, absence of greed, worship of the gods and the Brahmins, and absence of malice as the ingredients of Samanya Dharma, the general law for all men. The Mahabharata enumerates the performance of Shrad or offering oblations to the forefathers, religious austerity, truth, restraint of anger, satisfaction with one's own wife, purity, learning, absence of envy, knowledge of the self and forbearance as the fundamentals of Dharma. It is said in Padma Puran that Dharm proceeds from continence, truthfulness, austerity, charity, self-control, forbearance, purity, non-violence, serenity and non-thieving, and that one should recognize Dharm by these 10 factors. According to this Puran, bestowing gifts on deserving persons, fixing one's thoughts on Lord Krishna, adoration of one's parents, offering a portion of the daily meal to all creatures and giving a morsel of food to a cow are the characteristics of Dharm. According to Matsya Puran, freedom from malice, absence of covetousness, control of the senses, austerity, celibacy, compassion, truthfulness, forbearance, and fortitude constitute the fundamentals of Sanatana Dharma. Patanjali Maharshi, the exponent of Raj Yoga philosophy, recommends that 10 virtues should be practiced by all men. The first 5 are ahimsa, non-violence, satya, truthfulness, brahmacharya, celibacy in thought, word and deed, asteya, non-stealing, and aparigraha, non-covetousness. These constitute yam or self-restraint. The other 5 virtues are saucha, internal and external purity, santosh, contentment, tapas, austerity, svadhyay, study of scriptures or recitation of mantra, and ishvar pranadhan, consecration of the fruits of all works to the Lord. These constitute nayam, or religious observance. The Gita enumerates the following virtues as Devi Sampat or divine qualities: fearlessness, cleanness of life, steadfastness in the yoga of wisdom, almsgiving, self-restraint, sacrifice, study of the scriptures, austerity, straightforwardness, harmlessness, truth, absence of wrath, renunciation, peacefulness, absence of crookedness, compassion to living beings, non-covetousness, mildness, modesty, absence of fickleness, vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, purity, and absence of envy and pride. All these virtues are manifestations of the 4 fundamental virtues: 1. Non-violence, 2. Truth, 3. Purity, and 4. Self-control. All the above virtues come under the above 4 cardinal virtues. The virtues that are enumerated under the Noble Eightfold Path of Buddhism, and the virtues prescribed by Lord Jesus in his Sermon on the Mount, also come under the above fundamental virtues. The development of the divine qualities is indispensable for the attainment of self-realization. Brahman or the eternal is purity. The eternal cannot be attained without the attainment of purity. Brahman is truth. The eternal cannot be attained without practicing truth. Brahman is fearlessness. The eternal cannot be attained unless you become absolutely fearless. Attachment to the body causes fear and dehadhyas. If only you become fearless, then the identification with the body will vanish. You have rendered the heart harder than flint, steel or diamond through greed, miserliness, harshness, and rudeness. You can soften it only through the practice of mercy, sympathy, charity, generosity, magnanimity, harmlessness, mildness, disinterested action, and untiring service of the poor. You have made the heart crooked and narrow through hypocrisy, untruthfulness, backbiting, and tale-bearing. You can expand it through the practice of straightforwardness, truthfulness, cleanness of life, almsgiving, and non-covetousness. You have rendered the heart impure through lust. You can purify it of celibacy in thought, word, and deed. Non-violence. Ahimsa or non-violence is the most important virtue. That is the reason why Patanjali Maharshi has placed it first in yam. Practice of ahimsa must be in thought, word, and deed. Practice of ahimsa is not impotence or cowardice or weakness. It is the highest type of heroism. The practice demands immense patience, forbearance and endurance, infinite inner spiritual strength, and gigantic willpower. Ahimsa is a modification or expression of truth only. Satyam and ahimsa always go together. He who is established in ahimsa can move the whole world. In his presence, all hostilities vanish. Lion and cow, cobra and mongoose live together peacefully. Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism lay great stress on ahimsa. Lord Jesus also has emphasized much on ahimsa in his Sermon on the Mount. He says, "If anyone beats you on one cheek, show him the other cheek also." He who is firmly established in ahimsa can hope to attain self-realization. He who practices ahimsa develops cosmic love to a maximum degree. Practice of ahimsa eventually leads to realization of oneness or unity of self. Such a man only can attain self-restraint. Retaliation tooth for tooth, blow for blow is the maxim, doctrine or principle of an Asura, or a man of diabolic nature. This belongs to the beastly nature. To return good for evil is divine. Constant vigilance and alertness are needed in the practice of ahimsa. If you are careless even a bit, you will be carried away by the force of previous wrong samskars and impulses, and will become a victim of himsa, despite your good intentions. Truth. Brahman is Sat or existence absolute. Truth must be observed in thought, word and deed. If you are established in truth, all other virtues will cling to you by themselves. Harishchandra sacrificed everything for the sake of truth. He lives still in our hearts. Yudhishthir was also devoted to truth. There is no virtue higher than truth. Practice of truth and ahimsa constitute the crown and glory of ethical life. In the Taittiriya Upanishad, the preceptor says in his convocation address to the students, Satyam Vaad, speak the truth. The world is rooted in truth. Dharm is rooted in truth. All religions are rooted in truth. Honesty, justice, straightforwardness, and sincerity are only modifications or expressions of truth. Purity. Purity comprises both external purity and internal purity. Purity implies both purity of body and purity of mind. Purity of body is only the preliminary to purity of mind. This body is the temple of God. It should be kept clean by daily bathing and clean dress. Cleanliness is a part of godliness. The restriction in diet is best calculated to make the mind pure. Food exercises a direct influence on the mind. Sattvic food makes the mind pure. Purity of food leads to purity of mind. Mind is only made up of the fine essence of food. As the food is, so is the mind. You must be pure in thought, word and deed. Your heart must be as pure as crystal or the Himalayan snow. Then only the divine light will descend. Purity comprises such virtues as frankness, innocence, straightforwardness, and absence of all evil thoughts. He who is endowed with purity will find it easy to tread the spiritual path. Self-control. You must have perfect self-control or self-mastery. Self-control implies both control of the body and control of the mind. Self-control does not mean self-torture. You must lead a well-regulated and disciplined life. You must keep all the senses under your perfect control. The senses are like turbulent and wild horses. This body is like a chariot. Mind is the reins. Intellect is the driver. The Atman is the lord of the chariot. If the senses are not kept under proper control, they will throw this chariot into a deep abyss. You will come to ruin. He who keeps the reins firm and drives this chariot intelligently by controlling the horses' senses, will reach the destination, moksha or the abode of eternal bliss, safely. Self-control implies self-sacrifice, annihilation of egoism, patience, endurance, forbearance, and humility. Overcome rag or attachment by vairagya or dispassion. Dispassion will dawn in your mind if you look into the defects of sensual life such as birth, death, disease, old age, pain, sorrow, etc. Mithyadrishti and doshdrishti. Overcome anger and hatred by kshama or forgiveness, love and selfless service. Overcome evil by good. Return good for evil. Overcome lust by the practice of brahmacharya and regular jap and meditation. Conquer greed by charity, generosity, and disinterested actions. Conquer pride by humility and delusion by discrimination and inquiry. Overcome jealousy by magnanimity, atmabhav, and nobility. Conquer egoism by self-sacrifice, self-surrender, self-abnegation, and meditation on the non-dual, eternal, self-luminous Brahman, the innermost self, the inner ruler, the immortal. May you all attain eternal bliss and immortality through the practice of the cardinal virtues or the fundamental dharm. Varnashram dharm. The principle of Varnashram dharm is one of the basic principles of Hinduism. The Varnashram system is peculiar to Hindus. It is a characteristic feature of Hinduism. It is also prevalent throughout the world according to Gun Karm, aptitude and conduct, though there is no such distinct denomination of this kind elsewhere. The duties of the castes are Varna Dharm. The four castes are Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra. The duties of the stages in life are Ashram Dharm. The four ashrams or orders of life are Brahmacharya, Grihast, Vanprasth, and Sannyas. The principle. Human society is like a huge machine. The individuals and communities are like its parts. If the parts are weak and broken, the machine will not work. A machine is nothing without its parts. The human body also can work efficiently if its parts and organs are in sound and strong condition. If there is pain in any part of the body, if there is disease in any organ or part of the body, this human machine will go out of order. It will not perform its usual function or work. So is the case with the human society. Every individual should perform his duties efficiently. The Hindu rishis and sages formed an ideal scheme of society, and an ideal way of individual life, which is known by the name Varna Ashram Dharm. Hinduism is built on Varna Ashram Dharm. The structure of the Hindu society is based on Varna Ashram Dharm. Observance of Varna Ashram Dharm helps one's growth and self-evolution. It is very indispensable. If the rules are violated, the society will soon perish. The aim of Varna Ashram Dharm is to promote the development of the universal, eternal Dharm. If you defend Dharm, it will defend you. If you destroy it, it will destroy you. Therefore, never destroy your Dharm. This principle holds true of the individual as much as of the nation. It is Dharm alone which keeps a nation alive. Dharm is the very soul of man. Dharm is the very soul of a nation also. In the West and in the whole world also, there is Varna Ashram, though it is not rigidly observed there. Some Western philosophers have made a division of three classes, viz., philosophers, warriors, and masses. The philosophers correspond to the Brahmins, warriors to Kshatriyas, and the masses to Vaishyas and Sudras. This system is indispensable to keep the society in a state of perfect harmony and order. The four castes. In Purish Sukta of the Rig Ved, there is reference to the division of Hindu society into four classes. It is described there that the Brahmins came out of the face of the Lord, the Creator, Kshatriyas from his arms, Vaishyas from his thighs, and the Sudras from his feet. This division is according to the gun and karm. Gun, quality, and karm, kind of work, determine the caste of a man. This is supported by Lord Krishna in the Gita also. He says in the Gita, the four castes were emanated by me, by the different distribution of qualities and actions. Know me to be the author of them, though the actionless and inexhaustible. There are three qualities or guns, viz., sattva, purity, rajas, passion, and tamas, inertia. Sattva is white, rajas is red, and tamas is black. These three qualities are found in man in varying proportions. Sattva preponderates in some persons. They are Brahmins. They are wise persons. Or thinkers. They are the priests, ministers, or philosophers who guide kings or rulers. In some, rajas is predominant. They are Kshatriyas. They are warriors or men of action. They fight with the enemies or invaders and defend the country. In some, tamas is predominant. They are Vaishyas or traders. They do business and agriculture and amass wealth. Sudras are the servants. None of these qualities is highly developed in them. They serve the other three castes. In a broad sense, a sattvic man, who is pious and virtuous and leads the divine life, is a Brahmin. A rajasic man with heroic quality is a Kshatriya, a rajasic man with business tendencies is a Vaishya, and a tamasic man is a Sudra. Hitler and Mussolini were Kshatriyas. Ford was a Vaishya. Serenity, self-restraint, austerity, purity, forgiveness, and also uprightness, knowledge, realization, and belief in God are the duties of the Brahmins, born of their own nature. Prowess, splendor, firmness, dexterity, and also not flying from battle, generosity, and lordliness are the duties of the Kshatriyas, born of their own nature. Agriculture, cattle rearing, and trade are the duties of the Vaishyas, born of their own nature. An action consisting of service is the duty of the Sudras, born of their own nature. The law of spiritual economics. The underlying principle in caste system or Varnadharm is division of labor. Rishis studied human nature carefully. They came to the conclusion that all men were not equally fit for all kinds of work. Hence, they found it necessary to allocate different kinds of duties to different classes of people, according to their aptitude, capacity, or quality. The Brahmins were in charge of spiritual and intellectual affairs. The work of political administration and defense was given to the Kshatriyas. The Vaishyas were entrusted with the duty of supplying food for the nation and administering its economic welfare. The Sudras did menial work. The Rishis felt all these needs of the Hindu nation and started the system of Varnas and Ashrams. This division of labor began in Vedic times. The Vedas taught that the Brahman was the brain of the society, the Kshatriya its arms, the Vaishya its stomach, and the Sudra its feet. There was a quarrel between the senses, the mind and the pran as to who was superior. There was a quarrel amongst the different organs and the stomach. If the hands quarrel with the stomach, the entire body will suffer. When pran departed from the body, all the organs suffered. The head or stomach cannot claim its superiority over the feet and hands. The hands and feet are as much important as the stomach or head. If there is quarrel between the different castes as to which is superior, then the entire social fabric will suffer. There will be disharmony, rupture, and discord. A scavenger and a barber are as much important as a minister for the running of the society. The social edifice is built on the law of spiritual economics. It has nothing to do with superiority or inferiority. Each class contributes its best to the common weal or world solidarity. There is no question of higher and lower here. Character determines caste. A Brahmin is no Brahmin if he is not endowed with purity and good character, and if he leads a life of dissipation and immorality. A Sudra is a Brahmin if he leads a virtuous and pious life. What a great soul was Vidur! What a noble, candid, straightforward student was Satyakam Jabala of Chandogya Upanishad! Caste is a question of character. Varn is no more the color of the skin, but the color of one's character or quality. Conduct and character count and not lineage alone. If one is Brahmin by birth and, at the same time, if he possesses the virtues of a Brahmin, it is extremely good, because certain virtuous qualifications only determine the birth of a Brahmin. Use and abuse of the caste system. The Hindus have survived many a foreign conquest on account of their caste system. But they have developed class jealousies and hatred in the name of the caste system. They have not got the spirit of cooperation. That is the reason why they are weak and disunited today. They have become sectarians in the name of the caste system. Hence there is degradation in India. The caste system is, indeed, a splendid thing. It is quite flawless. But the defect came in from somewhere else. The classes gradually neglected their duties. The test of ability and character slowly vanished. Birth became the chief consideration in determining castes. All castes fell from their ideals and forgot all about their duties. Brahmins became selfish and claimed superiority over others by mere birth, without possessing due qualifications. The Kshatriyas lost their chivalry and spirit of sacrifice. The Vaishyas became very greedy. They did not earn wealth by honest means. They did not look after the economic welfare of the people. They did not give charity. They also lost the spirit of sacrifice. Sudras gave up service. They became officers. They wished that others should serve them. The greed and pride of man have created discord and disharmony. There is nothing wrong in Varna ashram. It is arrogance and haughtiness in men that have brought troubles. Man or the little jeev is imperfect. He is full of defects. He is simply waiting for claiming superiority over others. The Brahmin thinks that the other three castes are inferior to him. The Kshatriya thinks that the Vaishya and Sudra are inferior to him. A rich Sudra thinks that he is superior to a poor Brahmin, or a poor Kshatriya or Vaishya. At the present moment, the Varna ashram system exists in name only. It has to be rebuilt properly. Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Sudras, who have fallen from their ideals, and who are not doing their respective duties, must do their respective duties properly. They must be educated on right lines. They must raise themselves to their original lofty level. The sectarian spirit must die. They should develop a new understanding heart of love and devotion, with a spirit of cooperation, sacrifice and service. The 4 ashrams. There are 4 ashrams or stages in life, viz., brahmacharya, or the period of studentship, grihast, or the stage of the householder, vanprasth, or the stage of the forest dweller or hermit, and sannyas, or the life of renunciation or asceticism. Each stage has its own duties. These stages help the evolution of man. The 4 ashrams take man to perfection by successive stages. The practice of the 4 ashrams regulates the life from the beginning to the end. The first 2 ashrams pertain to pravriyati mard, or the path of work, and the 2 later stages, the life of vanprasth and that of sannyas, are the stages of withdrawal from the world. They pertain to nivritti mard, or the path of renunciation, towards orderly spiritual evolution. Life is very systematically and orderly arranged in Sanatan Dharm. There is opportunity for the development of the different sides of human activity. Due occupations and training are assigned to each period of life. Life is a great school in which the powers, capacities and faculties of man are to be evolved gradually. Every man should pass through the different ashrams regularly. He should not enter any stage of life prematurely. He can enter the next stage only when each has been completed. In nature, evolution is gradual. It is not revolutionary. Lord Manu says in his Smriti, having studied the Vedas or 2 Vedas or even 1 Ved in due order without breaking celibacy, let him dwell in the householder order. When the householder sees wrinkles in his skin and whiteness in his hair, and the son of his son, then let him retire to the forest. Having passed the 3rd portion of life in the forests, let him, having abandoned attachments, wander as an ascetic in the 4th portion of life. In extraordinary cases, however, some of the stages may be omitted. Suk was a born sannyasin. Shankar took sannyas without entering the stage of a householder. In rare and exceptional cases, a student is allowed to become a sannyasin, his debts to the world having been fully paid in a previous birth. Nowadays, young sannyasins without qualification are found in abundance. This is contrary to the ancient rules and causes much trouble. The brahmacharin or the celibate student. The first stage, brahmacharya, is the period of study and discipline. The student should not indulge in any pleasures. He stays in the house of his preceptor and studies the Vedas and the sciences. This is the period of probation. The teachers in ancient India usually lived in forest hermitages. These hermitages were the gurukuls or forest universities. The student begged his food. The children of the rich and poor lived together. The student regarded his teacher as his spiritual father and served him with faith, devotion, and reverence. The life of the student begins with the Upanayan ceremony, his second birth. He must be hearty and simple in his habits. He rises early, bathes and does sandhya and Gayatri jap. He studies scriptures. He takes simple food in moderation and takes plenty of exercise. He sleeps on a hard mat and does not use soft beds and pillows. He is humble and obedient. He serves and respects elders. He attempts to be chaste in thought, word and deed. He ever engages himself in doing services to his preceptor. He refrains from wine, meat, perfumes, garlands, tasty and savory dishes, women, acids, spices and injury to sentient creatures, from lust, anger, greed, dancing, singing and playing on musical instruments, from dice playing, gossip, slander and untruth. He sleeps alone. After the end of his student career, he gives a present to his preceptor according to his ability and returns home to enter the household life. The preceptor gives the final instruction and sends the student home. The teacher delivers a convocation address to the students at the conclusion of their studentship: speak the truth. Do your duty. Never swerve from the study of the Ved. Do not cut off the line of progeny after giving the preceptor the fee he desires. Never swerve away from truth. Never swerve from duty. Never neglect your welfare. Never neglect your prosperity. Never neglect the study and the teaching of the Vedas. Never swerve from the duties to the gods and the forefathers. Regard your mother as a god, Matradavo Bhava. Regard your father as a god, Pitradavo Bhava. Regard your teacher as a god, Acharyadavo Bhava. Regard your guest as God, Atithi Davo Bhava. Let only those actions that are free from blemishes be done and not others. Only those that are good acts to us should be performed by you and not others. You should remove the fatigue of Brahmins who are superior to you by serving them with seats, etc. Gifts should be given with faith, in plenty, with modesty and sympathy. If there be any doubt regarding rights or conduct, then look up to the lives of great men and follow their examples. This is the injunction. This is the teaching. This is the secret of the Vedas. This is God's word of command. This should be observed. Thus is this to be meditated upon. The grihast or the householder. The second stage is that of the grihast or householder. The household stage is entered at marriage, when the student has completed his studentship and is ready to take up the duties and responsibilities of householder life. Of all the ashrams, this is the most important because it supports all the others. As all creatures live supported by the air, so the other orders exist supported by the householder. As all streams and rivers flow to rest in the ocean, so all the ashrams flow to rest in the householder. The grihast is the very heart of Aryan life. Everything depends on him. Marriage is a sacrament for a Hindu. The wife is his partner in life. She is his ardhanjine. He cannot do any religious ritual without her. She stands by his left side when he performs any religious performance. Husband and wife keep Ram and Sita as their ideal. A householder should earn money by honest means and distribute it in the proper manner. He should spend 1/10 of his income in charity. He should enjoy sensual pleasures within the limits of the moral law. A householder is permitted to enjoy conjugal happiness on one night in a month. The householder should perform the Panch Mahayugyas. The 5 yugyas are Dev Yugya, offering oblations unto devas, with recitation of Vedic mantras. Rishi Yugya, study of Vedas and teaching of Vedas to students, and offering of oblations to rishis. Pitri Yugya, Turpan or ablutions to departed souls, and Srad or annual religious rites performed for departed souls. But Yugya, distribution of food to cows, crows and animals in general. Atithi Yugya, giving food to guests and honoring them. Hospitality is one of the householder's chief duties. He must ever feed first his guests, Brahmins and his relatives, and then he and his wife should eat. When the householder sees that his sons are able to bear the burden of his duties, when his grandsons are around him, he should know that the time has come for him and his wife to retire from the world and spend their time in study and meditation. The Vanprast or the recluse. The next stage is that of the Varnprast. Brahmacharya is a preparation for the life of the householder. Even so, Vanprast is a preparation for the final stage of sannyas. After discharging all the duties of a householder, he should retire to the forest or a solitary country place and begin to meditate in solitude on higher spiritual things. He is now free from social bonds and the responsibilities of life. He has ample time for study of scriptures. His wife may go with him or remain with her sons. The sannyasin or the renunciate. The next stage is that of a sannyasin. When a man becomes a sannyasin, he renounces all possessions, all distinctions of caste, all rites and ceremonies and all attachments to any particular country, nation, or religion. He lives alone and spends his time in meditation. He lives on alms. When he attains the sublime state of deep meditation, he rejoices in his own self. He is quite indifferent to sensual pleasures. He is free from likes and dislikes, desires, egoism, lust, anger, greed and pride. He has equal vision and balanced mind. He loves all. He roams about happily and disseminates Brahma Gyan or knowledge of the self. He is the same in honor and dishonor, praise and censure, success and failure. He is now a Varnashrami, i.e., above Varna and Ashram. He is quite a free man. He is not bound by any social customs and conventions. Such a sannyasin is an ideal man. He has attained perfection and freedom. He is Brahman himself. He is a Jivanmukt or a liberated sage. Glory to such exalted personages who are living gods on earth. Ashram Dharm under modern conditions. At the present moment, the ashrams cannot be exactly lived according to the details of the ancient rules, as the conditions have changed very much, but they may be revived in their spirit, to the great improvement of modern life. In these stages, no one should do the duty of another. The student or brahmachari should not do the duties of a householder, a recluse, or a sannyasin. The householder must not perform the duties of a brahmacharin, vanprast, or a sannyasin. A sannyasin should not seek again the joys of the householder. Peace and order will prevail in society, only if and when all people do their respective duties efficiently. The abolition of varnas and ashrams will cut at the very root of social duties. How can the nation hope to live when Varna-ashram dharma is not rigidly practiced? The students of schools and colleges should lead a life of purity and simple living. The householder should lead the life of an ideal grihastha. He should practice self-restraint, mercy, tolerance, non-injury, truthfulness and moderation in everything. Those who find it difficult to lead the life of the third and the fourth ashrams should, remaining in either of the other two ashrams, gradually withdraw themselves from worldly life and practice selfless service, study and meditation. The highest state Varnashram pertains to body alone, but not to the pure, all-pervading, immortal soul or Atman. Attain knowledge of the self and become an Ativarnashrami like Lord Tat Ray. Hear what he says, Mahadati Jagat Sarvam na kinchit pratibhati me brahmaiva kevalam sarvam katham varnashram sthiti. The whole world, from Mahat downwards, does not shine in me, everything is Brahman only. Where then is Varnashram? May you all have comprehensive understanding of Varna-ashram dharma. May you all develop universal love and brotherhood. May all barriers which are made by man for his own self-aggrandizement and self-assertion, and which create discord and disunion, be broken asunder. Yug Dharm. In Satya Yuga or the Golden Age there was a different set of dharms or laws. In Treta, they changed into another form. In Dwapar, the dharms were different from the dharms of other yugs, and in Kali Yuga, they assumed still another form. The dharm changes according to the changes of the cycles. Man is undergoing change. His nature gets transformed through experiences. Hence, his external form of dharms also should change. That which is achieved through contemplation in Satya Yuga, through sacrifices in Treta Yuga, and through the worship of Lord Hari in Dvapar Yuga, may be attained through kirtan or loud chanting of Lord Vishnu's name in Kali Yuga or Iron Age. In the Satya Yuga, the mind of men was generally pure. They had no distraction of the mind. There were neither cinemas, nor hotels, nor dancing halls and similar other distractions. Hence, meditation was easy and natural for them. That is the reason why contemplation has been prescribed for men of Satya Yuga. In the Treta Yuga, materials for the performance of yugyas or sacrifices were easily available. The people had active tendencies. Therefore it was easy for them to perform Agnihotra, Jayatishtoma, Darsapurnimas, and other yugyas. That is the reason why yugya has been described as the external form of Sanatan Dharma in that age. In the Dvapar Yuga, there was the manifestation of avatars and men could easily have direct worship of God. Hence, worship was prescribed as the principal form of sadhana in that age. In the Kali Yuga, there are many distractions for the mind. People lack in brahmacharya, strength of will and power of inquiry or rational investigation. It is very difficult to procure materials for the performance of sacrifices. Therefore, Hari Kirtan or loud chanting of the divine name and selfless service of humanity have been recommended as the principal forms of sadhana. Conclusion. Follow your Dharm with zeal and enthusiasm. Discharge your duties faithfully. Develop all the virtues which constitute Dharm. Never deviate an inch from the path of righteousness. Stick to Dharm with all your heart, with all your mind, and with all your soul. Performance of one's duties brings happiness, quick evolution, and freedom. You will soon attain immortality, eternal bliss, supreme peace, perennial joy, absolute freedom, and perfection. Glory to Dharm, the supreme light that leads you to the kingdom of eternal bliss and everlasting peace. May the eternal Dharm of Hinduism be preserved forever. May all Hindus be consolidated by the bond of true love.
We dedicate our work to the Vedic rishis and gurus who passed the ancient knowledge and wisdom for the benefit of humanity through Vedic Sanatan Dharm, Hinduism. If you enjoy our videos, please subscribe to our channel and share our content through Google+, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, WhatsApp, Quora, Instagram, etc. Please visit dharmyoga.com for